And ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the thought-provoking keynote panel discussion on one customer, many channels. Let's hear what our experts have to say about tackling the number one customer complaint, inconsistent experiences across the channels. And for this, I would like to first invite Milo Abou Jaoude, who is the Director, Products and Solutions at Customer Solutions Center, MENA Central Cluster at Mastercard. In his role, he leads the establishment and growth of the Customer Solutions Center and manages the designing and building of comprehensive solutions designs aimed at optimizing client strategies and approaches. Let's welcome him to the stage. And now we would like to invite Vikrant Neogi, Practice Lead for Customer Intelligence at SAS. He is responsible for Martech and the Data and Analytics business portfolio. Vikrant is passionate about applied analytics in marketing and works closely with customers to support their CX, CDP, and digital transformation programs. Ladies and gentlemen, Vikrant is with us.
Came too soon, I think.
And joining them also is Norah Alsaja, the head of marketing at Majid Al Futtaim. Norah is a brand marketing and communications professional with over 14 years of experience across the US, Middle East, and Africa. Combining strategic planning with being results focused has led to her solid growth and achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Norah Alsaja. And now it's time to call upon the stage the moderator of this session, who is Abhinav Mishra, director at Martechvibe. He has nearly a decade of experience working with some leading media brands such as Bloomberg, Business Week, Middle East, Khaleej Times, and Times of India, and now heads the business strategy at commercial at Vibe Projects. Let's welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you so much, first of all, to all our attendees for joining us today. And thank you so much to all our esteemed panelists for being on stage with me. Very interesting topic, of course, CX. I'm very interested as well. And what better way to start a panel? And if it's not a panel discussion if I don't throw numbers at the beginning, right? So 66% of the people, and what we're talking about today is one customer, multiple channels, right? From a CX point of view, 66% of the people, they use minimum of 3 channels while interacting with a brand, and 75% of them are they look at consistent experience regardless of the channel that they use to interact with the brand. On that note, with that stat in mind, I want to start probably, Norah, from you. Is that, having said that, we still see that seamless experience across channels, has been discussed, and it's been done to death over the years. Now, why do you think brands are still getting it so wrong? Now, the reason why I'm asking you is that even with the amount of investments that going in, the talent that's available, the tools that are available, how is it that brands are still getting the seamless experience across channels wrong?
Well, it's a very good question. I think one thing we have to differentiate is there's a difference between what you mentioned as multi-channel and omni-channel. And the difference is, okay, many brands, they want to be on everything. They want to be on, social, they want to have a telephone number, they want to have an email. But the issue is that the experience across the channels is not seamless. It isn't. So if someone approaches the customer service hotline, that same person tries to reach out over social media, and that reaches a completely different team. So what it needs to be, what's the difference with the omni-channel approach is that it becomes effortless. All of these reach the same people. They're aware of the customer as a whole, so they know this customer on multiple platforms, and it's quite effortless. And I think this is one of the things that stop the experience from being seamless. And it's something that is really important because seamless experience is actually one of the biggest factors that lead to loyalty. And it's one of the factors that lead to even purchase intent. So we see that when we do treat the customer well and we give them a consistent experience, we see them coming back, spending more, and being loyal to the brand.
So thank you so much. Vikrant, I'm going to bring you in over here. Is that you heard Norah's answer? You work with clients across. So why is it that clients are still getting the seamless experience across channels wrong? So wrong.
I think one of the biggest. Can you hear me?
Is he audible?
Am I audible? No?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take that. I think so. Hello? Yeah, now. Yeah, so I think a lot of brands that I work with, they perceive a seamless experience to be a technology challenge, right? Brands believe that if I have the right data, I have the right platform, I have the right technologies, I'll be able to understand my customers much, much better, right? But honestly, the fact of the matter is, of course, that is an important aspect, but the fact of the matter is, there is a lot of interdepartmental or functional silos that exist. So I'll give an example. Let's say I have an e-commerce business. I have the best app experience. I have the best recommendations I'm giving. I have the seamless, frictionless checkout process. But at the end of the day, if I'm not able to deliver the product on time, or I'm not able to make the return painless or frictionless, I'm not able to deliver that customer experience. So I would say the big challenge that I see with brands is to leverage this cross-functional dependency and data to make the whole customer journey or customer experience frictionless. Right? I think that's one of the challenges that we see.
I think that's a very good point, because that's what I was going to start my question for Milo with, right? Milo, I think what Vikrant said, just taking a cue from that, I think one of the biggest problems that we see when it comes to delivering CX today for brands is making the most or utilizing the underlying data that's available to them to make an informed decision. Why is that even a problem in this digital age, and what can brands do about it?
You have actually several problems. You have problems with the level of which everyone knows about, which is managing the proper solutions, technology, and so on. Other thing is actually putting some effort in understanding what the customer wants. So being responsive to the customer rather than just pushing solutions, offerings to the customer. And by understanding the customer doesn't mean just understanding the way they're utilizing your offering, your service, or products. It's actually investing this knowledge into the way you're designing your products, whether it's designing new products, change your segmentation, or either actually pushing campaigns, whether it's marketing or branding. And so this overall, as Norah was mentioned, this creates the full loyalty aspect that we're talking about. Customers are now, in terms of pricing, and so it's becoming very, very competitive in the market. So the margin of change is very minimal. So I think what customers are looking for is for brands, solutions, offerings that understand what they want. So one size fits all doesn't work anymore. So one product fits all doesn't work. It's supposed to be a tailored, personalized offering where you understand your customer, you know what they're looking for, and push to them things that can actually complement the way they're living.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and that's something that we've heard repeatedly when you say that one solution does not fit all. It doesn't work. Norah, coming back to you, since we are at the topic of CX, why do you think that digital customer experience is so important today? Is it just to solve the millennial problem where brands are focusing on the demographic that has more buying power? Or do you think there is more to it, and there's more to it when it comes to why brands focus on digital customer experience, or why they should?
I think the important question here is, why is it important? Is because that's where your customer is. You have to be there where the customer is. You have to be on the customer journey. You're not forcing the customer into a specific category. They're already there. Everyone here is digital, not just millennials. Everyone here has their phone. Everyone here has social of some sort. Maybe not everything, but you're there. So this is where your customer is. Therefore, you need to reach them there as well. It's not an option anymore. It is for everyone. And also this entails that the speed of customer service actually needs to be heightened. The bar keeps getting higher. People are expecting, like Neil was mentioning earlier, instant gratification, which is very hard for businesses to compete with. Everyone raises the bar, and then everyone else in the same category is put on the same standard. and it's something that is really important. And when it comes to brands, the gap between the brand promise and which is the expectation of the customer and the reality is what causes people to either have a good experience and become loyal to the brand, or the opposite and go to your competitor. So I think this is the most important. Just you have to be there on the customer journey.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point about when you say that what brands promise and what they're actually able to deliver. That's a very good point. Vikrant, coming back to you and going back to what you said, what I asked Milo, is that you mentioned the problem of the underlying data, right? Now, taking a cue from what Milo said, how can brands use that better? I'm sure they are kind of pondering over it as well. But in your suggestion, how can brands use the underlying data better to make that informed decision when it comes to CX?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think the challenge remains on the functional silos that are there in the organization. So if we can, for example, let's say digital marketing, which is an offspring of the overall marketing department, which came into being probably 7-8 years back, and now has become quite mainstream, is still considered siloed in multiple businesses, right? And the challenge therein lies is the ability for marketing teams or digital marketing teams to function today. So now, if you flash back or you teleport yourself 2022, 23, the third-party cookies are dead. The DMP data providers are, pretty much extinct. There's a lot of data privacy regulations that are coming in. So there are a lot of stringent regulations that are impacting the digital marketer. So they now have to turn to the old-fashioned CDM team for data, right? And that's where I think the challenge lies of leveraging the digital data along with the transactional, traditional customer information that's there with the brands. And to complicate this problem further, now you have chatbots, you have social sentiments, you have NPS scores, you have so much of different data sets that you want to bring together. So I think one of the solutions to this or responses that I've seen from brands is to look at a CDP kind of capabilities, customer data platform, where the promise is to bring data from all of these different sources together and do hyper-personalization based on information. So I think a lot of brands are moving in that direction, but it's a long journey given the explosion of data, the different sources that are coming in every day, different channels that are popping up each day, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a major problem. Milo, coming to you, and again, taking a cue from what Vikrant said about how there is so much of data available, more data points, and also that brings us to the point that even the customer expectations are increasing day by day, right? Is just at another level, keeps on increasing, and everyone needs a personalized service. Everyone needs it now. Now, how can brands keep on meeting these expectations consistently? Is it humanly possible? What can brands do? Because I think there is no end to the expectations that clients have today. And once you are able to serve to a particular set, you only have to get better from there. So what is your view on this?
Okay. To start with, we have to all acknowledge that digital experience, or what we call digital offerings, is the new normal. And unfortunately, COVID helped. I think it is the positive part of COVID, which helped us accelerate understanding the value of having a digital experience, for companies to understand the value of this digital experience rather than just focusing on their conventional way. And by the way, having a very, let's call it successful or healthy digital experience also provides benefits and added value to the company itself. We're all looking into cost optimization. We're all looking on how to actually reduce the turnover time and so on. And going back to your question about how we can actually leverage this data, I'd like to add on what Vikrant was mentioning is that it's not also, like everyone talks about CDP now, we want to create a CDP. Yes, it's a very nice objective or initiative we'd like to go through. It's more, you have millions of sources of data that you can receive or you have access to daily. It's about how you actually set a very clear data strategy to structure this data, to use it properly. And as I mentioned, in terms of designing your product, understanding what segment, going into personalized marketing. And yes, expectations with time are going to increase. Clients are expecting personalized offerings for them. And by personalized, I mean, even though two people are 18 years of old, does not mean I should send the same product to both of them. You can understand a person based on his, overall personal finance management, for example, understand that this guy, for example, is falling behind on settling his dues. Why not push for him certain level of lending or so? The other is looking into gamification, for example. I can push another offering to. So these small details, you cannot reach the next step directly, but you have to actually build a very clear strategy and roadmap on how you're going to build this data leveraging so that you can reach there.
Norah, I just want to come to you with this question. I know how you also, we were discussing it about before the panel as well. What is your view? You heard like what Milo said, there are small steps that need to be taken. You can't immediately move to the next step. But what can brands do to meet this ever-increasing expectations from clients? And how can they do that consistently?
I think it's very important for brands to know what they stand for. I mean, coming from a branding perspective and a marketing perspective, you stand for something. You're the fastest, the cheapest, the most reliable. Every brand has a promise, and you need to meet that promise consistently. You can't do everything. You can't be everything. And a lot of brands, they make a mistake when they try to do this. They try to tick all the boxes, and you cannot. However, speed is something I think that's across all. When there is an issue, especially if there's a customer experience situation, it should be handled effectively and efficiently. And I think that's something that's very important. And I think brands need to look into how they can make this faster and more seamless. One of the interesting data points is that even though human touch is quite important to a lot of people, more than 50% of the people said they would rather have self-service when it comes to customer service. Like they want to be able to, make their complaints, have an automated system. So having a bit of a combination between getting them to just ask for what they want, because everyone's different. Some people want a refund. Some people want, just for you to say sorry. Some people want, different results. So it's really good to give that option of people almost self-serving. And Deliveroo does this really well. Actually, I'm always quote Deliveroo because they have a very differentiated customer service, and they do ask. At some point, they ask you, "Do you want a refund, or do you want this on your credit? Do you want it as credit? They give you 20% more." There's a lot of solutions that meet the needs, and it's personalized, and it's you personalizing it. You don't even have to wait for someone to ask you. You're choosing how you want to be consoled when you have a bad experience. And I think a combo between having the right tools in place and the right processes, as well as some of the right people, gives that experience a new level.
Thank you so much. I think, Milo, the last question coming back to you. A very typical way to end the panel discussion. How do you see customer service, customer experience evolving in the future, and how can the brands be prepared for it?
I think I'd like to add what Norah was saying. I think it's very healthy to have a very balanced approach in terms of customer experience. Definitely people are looking for self-service, and that's going to be, I think, moving forward the priority. And this also feeds back on the point of cost optimization as well. But at some points of time, and we've experienced every day, is that you reach a point with this automated customer service where this chatbot, robot, whatever, he's stuck. He does not understand what you want. You don't understand what the chatbot wants, and there you're stuck. You don't know what to do, and this is where you start sending emails and so. So I think it's we have to be very picky. It's challenging, but at the same time, this has to be done very carefully. And you're always going to have people, different segments, different ages, who still want to go and actually talk to a person. They feel it's more comfortable, secure. This person, human being, understands what they. So this balance has to stay always. You will not be able, no matter what you're going to do, going digital, robotics, whatever you want to go, AI, everything. Human has to be there. And there's always going to be a human who's controlling and optimizing the way we're using those solutions and technology.
I think what you were also trying to say is that an intelligent chatbot is as intelligent as the people implementing it, right?
I agree, because it reflects actually the person who's implementing it.
Yes.
or building it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Vikrant. Same thing. How can brands be prepared for the evolving CX landscape, and what can they do?
I think from a brand's perspective, I believe the future of customer experience is going to be focused towards a lot more personalization and not more automation per se. So the example of chatbot, I need to talk to Melissa or Catherine or Omar or Raj before I talk to my bank is very, very not a great experience for many customers. It puts a barrier between the end consumer and the brand. And similarly, there have been instances of great automation. So for example, straight through processing in banks, where I can create an online account in 5 minutes without filling any forms or visiting a branch. All the form is there, my digital signatures, my KYC compliance, and in 5 minutes I have a new account, right? So there are different aspects of automation which will be focused towards changing what is valuable to the customer, not value to the organization. Like chatbots are saving millions of dollars in customer service, but that's not valuable to the end consumer, right? So I see personalization is going to be critical, and to do that, three main areas I would see brands doing it is more interdepartmental coordination between sales, marketing, customer service areas as well. Then a platform where you can get data from multiple sources like CDP, and then personalization using analytics. I think if you want to scale the personalization to the next level, and if you have, for a bank that we work with, around 5 billion touch points in a month for their consumers, right? And it's not possible to do that manually. So you need analytics to personalize the experience to scale it up. So I think that's where I see the future of customer experience heading.
So personalization and using analytics, of course.
Absolutely.
And Norah, I think you've already mentioned that you would suggest brands not to try and be a superhero and try and do everything, but be the best at what they can deliver, right? Thank you so much. I think we're at the end of the time for the panel discussion as well. I would request everyone to give a big round of applause to our panelists today for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you once again, everyone, and it was a pleasure having you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well.